Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with this hypothesis. The problem with anti-fascism is that we live in a military-industrial complex system that is inherently fascist. Our clothing is made in sweatshops for the most part, with like corporate
That's
government
not fascism.
collusion.
It's
Well,
more
like
like
this corporate government.
it's authoritarian corporatism.
Militaristic. It's like stuff is done by force, so it feels like we're supporting a fascist, not a dictatorship.
It's not.
But a militaristic.
I hate the phrase.
The United States is a military.
Fascist
country.
is a very specific thing. Like it's a very specific brand of authoritarianism that comes from World War II. Everyone says fascist. What they really mean is authoritarian.
Okay.
So what happens is then you get people arguing about state control versus ethno-nationalism and what is really fascist. Like, I don't care, dude. I'm talking about authoritarian dictatorship. That's what I'm talking about.
So are these Antifa actually just anti-authoritarian?
No, they're pro-authoritarian. Pro. They're communist extremists. They want the power. This is what I really, really can't stand. You ever see the political compass memes, you guys?
Yeah.
Where it's like, they always put Antifa in the bottom left libertarian. No. Anarchists have the non-aggression principle. That's what it's right? Non-aggression principle? Yeah. Well, it's mostly a right-wing anarchist thing, which I don't even know what that means, right-wing.
ANCAP and libertarian.
Yeah, not anarcho-communist. But the general idea should be a part of anyone who doesn't believe authority is proper. So a real anarchist, and you'll hear this from actual leftists who actually know what they're talking about. Because I think left anarchists, the real ones, you totally love to hang out with them. You know why? They're sitting around smoking weed and eating watermelon.
Yeah, but they let chaos happen.
No, they don't. That's not what anarchists
say.
People
get into a fist fight in their house.
That's
they're
not
just
true.
Like, well,
that's not true.
I used to live with them.
That's not anarchists. Then you didn't live. You lived with nihilists.
No, they just didn't have any rules.
That's not anarchy. Anarchy means without authority. True anarchists, it means you sit in a circle and you all talk until you agree. It's damn near impossible to do at scale. But if you've got a group of 5 people, you can have an anarchic system where you're like, no one person is the authority.
Well, you could also have a group of anarchists where you all fight each other until one person survives.
That's not like real anarchy. That's just... So the actual idea of anarchy, it means an without archy authority. That's what it means. And so, so this is really funny. I was just watching the movie Stranger Than Fiction. Have you guys ever seen that? It's actually really fun. It's Will Ferrell and he's walking on the street and then all of a sudden he hears a narrator narrating his life. And then one day she's like, little did Harold know he was going to die. And then he's like, wait, what? Who said that? But anyway, he's a tax auditor and he's talking to this leftist and he asks her, are you part of an anarchist group? And she goes, anarchists have groups? And it was, what's her name? Maggie Gyllenhaal. And he's like, I don't know. And she's like, that would defeat the purpose. Like, no, it wouldn't. Anarchist means without authority. You can have a group of people where no one person has authority. And they all sit in big circles and they sing Kumbaya and ask each other what each other wants to do until everyone comes into agreement. It doesn't work at scale. You can't even do it with 10 people. You can do it with 3 or 4. So it's really like a pipe dream. To say that the left libertarian spectrum, like Antifa, are anti-authoritarian is like an outright lie. The people that are going around smashing things and demanding their will be done is the definition of authoritarian. Absolute. They think they have authority over you to force you to do what they want, and they will use physical force against you to get what they want. That's authoritarianism. Just because they're not in the most powerful group. So imagine it this way. If a group of 100 people showed up and said, raise our flag or we will murder your family, is that authoritarian?
Yes.
It doesn't matter if they're part of the state or a gang. Because the only difference between that concept they try and lie about is they don't have the full power of government yet. So imagine what Antifa would do if they actually gained control of a government.
How would you explain an anarchic? Is it anarchic?
Anarchic.
An anarchic group that want if an anarchic group something. If Antifa were anarchic, how would they be behaving differently?
They wouldn't be violent.
Well, you could have violent anarchy.
No. That's oxymoronic. The idea that you have the sole authority to cause harm to another person is not without authority. It is with authority.
Yeah, but I mean, doing something doesn't mean that you're authoritarian.
So I guess theoretically you could have no authority and no goals and no purpose.
So you just wanted to burn it all. So they have a goal and a purpose. If they just wanted to destroy it,
That would be more nihilism, I think.
And I think that's still an exertion of your authority over someone else.
I think you're being too liberal with the definition of authority.
If you think you can unilaterally decide to alter someone else's existence, like
I don't see
make decisions for them.
I don't see Antifa trying to implement anything. I just see them trying to break the system.
Well,
Antifa are revolutionary communists. That the Antifa literally comes from World War II Germany. It was the militant wing of the Communist Party. And anti-fascism doesn't mean anti-authoritarian. They're pro-authoritarian. They were pro-communist party. The people flying their flag want authoritarianism. They want to tell people what to do because they think the stupid people and their farting cows are destroying the planet.
So anti-fascists were an actual party of the communists, a part of the communists, authoritarian communists. But this anti-fascist group is not that. It's a different.
It's the same flag.
They're
it's
using
the same
name
symbols.
and
It's the same
flag,
ideology.
But like you say, you can call yourself the nice guys and go around and beat people and be like, why would you beat down on the nice guys?
They're flying the symbols in the flag.
Right, but they're different functions.
That's like saying neo-Nazis aren't really Nazis.
That's why they're called new Nazis. They're not.
Sure,
they're not
then we'll call them
German
neo-Antifa.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily the same authoritarian group that the communists had.
It's basically the same thing.
I don't agree with that. I think they have the same name and the same flag, but they're not authoritarian.
They're not anarchists. That's just it. They're not anarchists, man.
How would you describe them, Cassandra?
I think that they're authoritarian. I don't know if I would. I mean, I don't know. You guys both have some valid points. I think that they're terrifying, and that's basically it. I think that they believe that they're morally right, and their conscience is telling them that they're doing the right thing by being ultra authoritarian and imposing their will on people. And I think that that's the most dangerous kind of person. It's the same thing that you see with like ISIS. They think that they're committing acts of terror and authoritarianism for the greater good. It's the same thing. And I just think that they're
if you take Antifa and you give them positions of power in the government, they will all agree on what they want to do next. They bring out guillotines in front of people's homes. They are acting in concert. They know what their ideology is. They know what they want, and they will use violence to get it. CNN ran this really funny piece, Antifa seeking peace through violence. And they changed the title after they got called out for it. They are violent authoritarians. I guess you could... It's a weird argument to make that you have violent anti-authoritarians because I guess the Joker, you could argue... because he had no real goal in destroying your life. But I personally feel like if I say to you, I'm going to cause you harm, I am making a decision about what I want you to experience and do. And that is me asserting my will over yours.
But it would be, why were you doing it? If you were doing it so that you could get the money and make me your slave, then you'd be authoritarian. But if you were doing it so to watch me die, then you wouldn't be authoritarian.
I disagree. It's me saying my will over yours.
That's authority.
Imposing your will is not you're always imposing your will though.
No, we work in a constitutional republic with democratically elected leaders, so we do exert our will, but it's through cooperation and through laws.
Right. But
so there authority exists. Like our system isn't anarchic. We live in a country that is slightly more. We live in a rather centrist society. We're not too authoritarian. We kind of are in a lot of ways. And we're not completely libertarian, but we have certain freedoms in certain areas. And we're not super left. We're not super right in terms of economics. We're a mixed economy, and it's fairly balanced. It's fairly balanced. I can say, I want to elect this person, and I can exert my will, and others can challenge that, but we don't beat each other to death. And I don't go to someone and steal their money, take their assets from them so they can't compete. They're allowed to compete fairly on equal footing because I don't have power over them in a certain capacity.
So exerting your will without violence is, you would consider, not authoritarian, but exerting your will through violence is authoritarian?
No. If I went to you and said, I will publish embarrassing photos about your significant other, it's just exerting some kind of force, coercive, manipulative, or physical force against a person to subjugate their will.
Then at that point, I wonder why you're doing it. I think whether or not it's authoritarian comes down to why you're doing it. If
that doesn't matter.
The Joker,
my will be done.
He wasn't I agree with you. I don't think he was authoritarian. I think he was just anarchic. He was crazy.
The new Joker was based on Bernie Goetz, which is like a really famous case that kind of applies. I've been thinking about it a lot with Kyle Rittenhouse, but the person that they based it off of, he was just sick of crime, and he wanted to stand up to people harassing him on the subway, and he ended up shooting people.
The new Joker.
Yeah.
The movie. That was a great movie.
But yeah, the NRA like took up his case back in the 90s, and it's interesting.
Vigilantism.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is, for one, yeah, there's nuance in the discussion, but if you have a group of people who agree on their ideology, particularly that they're all racist, so they all are racist. These Antifa people are identitarian. They believe freaky, weird things about race, and they want racialized law. They go around saying, how do we get that? We beat people until they submit. That's authoritarianism.
Because they're trying to impose this critical race.
It's not even about impose. They're enforcing their will by subjugating you. If you had a government that said, do it or else, and they went around telling people no more speaking out against us, it's authoritarianism. Just because they're not as big as a government doesn't mean they're not authoritarian. So I was actually talking to an Antifa guy in Berkeley a couple of years ago, and I explained to him when he was talking to me about, look, these right-wing groups, they come here and they're fascist, so we got to fight back. And I was like, come on, man, that little old lady, like, one of you guys threw an M80 at that old woman over there. And he's like, well, like, she shouldn't be with the fascists. I'm like, she didn't come with fascists. She just showed up with a Trump flag, and then other people showed up. And he was like, well, I think these people need to understand that what we're doing is better. And I was like, so you're an authoritarian? And he goes, dude, you can't be an authoritarian, okay? Because that's like a government. And I was like, and socialism's a government? Are you saying you can't be a socialist? And he was like, wait, Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. And we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.